It's Yom HaZikaron, the day when Israel momentarily comes to a complete standstill to remember its war dead and terror victims. Threats to Israel are nothing new, but how are Israelis feeling about their government's latest warning?
Do you feel Iran is a significant threat to Israel?
It's complex. I don't know if it's a significant threat. It's something certainly on the radar.
Honestly, I don't know what the government is telling or not telling us.
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
I think everybody's a threat to Israel.
Every summer here there is a threat of a different war. So sometimes I think, okay, this is again the war of the summer that really didn't happen.
Yes. Four leaders and their leaders keep on the word banter, and one thing might lead to another, but you know.
There is still no official proof that Iran is building the bomb. Either way, it's important to be skeptical by asking why Iran might be building one and whether it would realistically use it.
A country gets the bomb precisely so as not to get to a scenario in which it would feel the need to use it. So hypothetically, if Iran had the bomb and some kind of like Bush junior administration got to power in the States and decided to resume the ridiculous game of regime change in the Middle East, etc., and would try to attack Iran to get rid of Israel, then Iran probably as a last resort might well use it. But that's highly fictional on all levels. And even then, it's kind of not certain that they would actually do that, not least because they would face nuclear retaliation.
For Iran, it's simply going to defend itself. And it's aware that if it had nuclear weapons, or the potential to create them very quickly, it would be extremely difficult for Israel or the United States to threaten it. And that would be a desirable situation to be in. So to that extent, I think Iran sees nuclear weapons as a useful mechanism for guaranteeing its own security.
While Israelis also take their national security very seriously, this does not mean they all take their leaders' talk of striking Iran at face value. In fact, one did something extraordinary to break the silence.
So yes, my name is Ronny Edry, I'm 41, I'm an Israeli living in Tel Aviv.
Earlier this year, graphic designer Ronny Edry began making posters of Israelis with a simple message of peace to Iranians and publishing them online. He wasn't sure if anything would come of it, but within a few hours, Iranians from inside Iran were emailing Ronny their own messages and photos, mostly with their faces hidden, while designers in Tehran mirrored his campaign online. Ronny and his friends worked in shifts to publish the droves of messages pouring into his inbox from both nations. His Facebook campaign has gained nearly 70,000 followers. His efforts quickly made headlines across the world and prompted an anti-war rally in Tel Aviv. It appeared to be the first time Israeli and Iranian civilians had really ever communicated on a mass scale.
I want to make sure that we don't have to bomb them. I want to make sure that we are talking to them and that we are understanding one each other. Iran, this is very far from us. This is not a day-to-day problem. We have a problem like every other country.
Life in Israel appears calm at the time of Ronny's campaign, but last summer saw quite a different story, when hundreds of thousands of Israelis repeatedly marched to demand socio-economic reform, seeing the largest wave of public protests in Israel's history. Since joining the free market in the 80s, Israel has rapidly privatized. With the majority of its wealth now controlled by an elite few, disparity between Israel's rich and poor has greatly increased, while the middle class, who constitute Israel's economic and military backbone, are feeling the squeeze the most.
The price of living in Israel, the fact that I'm working so hard and I have to have 2-3 works just to finish, the month. These are my real problem.
The more the protests refused to go away, and the more it started gradually to politicize and to start having more distinct, political tendencies. There was some anti-capitalist lingo that was getting into the discourse, and there was some maybe anti-war lingo that was getting into the discourse, and some anti-government lingo that was getting into the discourse. The government was becoming more and more edgy and nervous.
Israel is one of the most divided societies on earth. According to OECD data, we have the largest gap between those who have and those who don't have.
More people are dying because of the economic situation about any kind of national conflict. I mean, we saw statistics that in 2007, over 320 people killed themselves on economic background in Israel. That's nearly one person a day. That's much more than we had even in the height of the Intifada. So, people are beginning to realize it.
So, is all this war talk from leaders on both sides also serving to distract from political problems at home?
What made you start this?
Being afraid of being bombed?
My children, yeah. Always, the way to win us, the way to overcome this, it's in Israel, it's always the same. It's the threat of war. Because when you have, the war coming, nobody's going to talk about social problem or, loving Iranians.
We know it from history that sometimes you create demons and you create enemies, imaginative or real enemies, in order to enhance your political interests at home.
That's how they are staying in power in Iran. That's how they have all the Iranis distracted for their life, by making, Israel the enemy.
Sometimes it seems that they feel that it's quite useful to push the Iranian threat in order to, divert public opinion or public attention from the social protest, from the Palestinian issue, from the settlers going absolutely wild in the occupied territories.
You have to find a way to get Ahmadinejad not build this bomb. Don't make threats, just work behind the scene and make this not happening. Because the problem of Israel, they are not Iran.
The other major problem fueling Israeli skepticism over their prime minister's priority list is the ongoing conflict with the Palestinians and the lack of a two-state solution.
Mr. Netanyahu could argue that one way of guaranteeing solidarity for his own government would be by organising an external attack. If you create an external threat, then of course popular attitudes tend to solidify behind the government.
He is not interested in seriously negotiating with the Palestinians. So talking about Iran is a great distraction for him.
He can do it, because the day he started doing it is losing power.
The whole Iranian thing was blown out of proportion exactly at a moment when the Palestinians went to the UN to ask for a vote over a Palestinian state. And it's not surprising. Whenever the Palestinian subject is beginning to get some kind of prominence in international public opinion, Israel comes up back with the whole Iranian thing.
And on the same time, all the social, work that has been done in this country is going, and that's how it works. So you have to be clever. You have to fight for it. You have to raise your voice.
Be it a game of political distraction or just failure to communicate with others, as long as Iran's nuclear ambitions remain ambiguous, Israelis can only wait and hope that current leaders will avoid acting rashly before knowing the fuller picture.